Why?
Why should select you or should not select?
Don't select you and select.
Okay. Right. So I thought, you know, since you are basically a small group, it's very nice that we can interact. So rather than having a kind of a lecture format where I should know and work around it, and especially because it's a placement, pre-placement initiative. So I thought let's have an interactive session wherein we'll discuss about Zomato, their model, the business model, about space selling, of course, which is primarily important here, and of course any clarifications that you might have on any issue related to Zomato that I can handle, of course. And I'm not able to handle questions related to the e-commerce area because that's not my area. Advertising happens to be my area of interest, and therefore what I propose to do is, because some of you said, you know, you have difficulty answering even the initial questions about Zomato, maybe how it was named and so on. So let me start with that. But before that, I would also want to suggest to all of you that before you go to appear for this interview session or the GPs and everything, make yourself very clear about anything and everything that you can read about Zomato. I mean, there's so many things available on the net. You go to the website of Zomato and be as familiar as you can with everything, all the content on the website. Whatever is there on their website, find out who their competitors are and go to their website. Go to different interviews, you know, over these past few years, there have been various published interviews of Deepinder Goyal and, you know, Chadha. And these interviews give us a lot of, you know, insights about their perception of this business, their idea or vision of this business, where it is going. Apart from that, there will be different analysts writing their blogs, giving different comments. So I suggest that if you go for an interview, before the interview, you do a whole lot of browsing. Do a lot of browsing on anything and everything that you can read about Zomato and the concepts also related to that. So that would be one preliminary preparation that you can do. Apart from the fact that in any interview that you face related to a marketing or a sales profile, you would naturally be asked the preliminary questions. You might be asked basic things like, you know, difference between marketing and sales, some concepts of marketing, etc., etc. Communication, of course, is also one area that they might want to, you know, evaluate. So, how many of you know when Zomato was actually founded? 2008. Okay, July 2008. And who were the founders? What were they? What was their background? Graduates, alumni, and they were working in a company called Bain & Company. Yeah. Now, what was it? Where did they see the need for it? How did they?
They were in a cafeteria and they identified food where people had to wait to order their food.
Yeah.
They identified.
And they noticed that people were, you know, stacking. Sometimes they do a lot of menus along with them, and then they're all checking out different menus while they were waiting and trying to, you know, order food from there. So that need, you know, that they felt emerged out of a feeling that why should we wait to have our food? Why can't we have the food of our choice by ordering? So basically it was a need for convenience, a need for comfort. These are some of the basic needs that we are all looking for. So from that came the concept. They said that initially what they did was they, you know, picked up some menus and they, you know, circulated it across their office link so that, you know, the office colleagues could access that. Then they came up with the idea, why don't we go leave the job? We start a business around this very interest that we have, this need that we have identified for a solution to our problem. What was the problem? The problem was that people had to really, you know, look for options, and people had to wait for options when they wanted to go out to have food, whether it was during the office hours, while they were waiting for lunch, or maybe when they wanted to go out for dining. So out of the need came the idea or the opportunity, because they wanted to provide a solution. They wanted to provide a platform where there could be a listing, a guide, and an experience, a discovery of different restaurants that were available all around. Probably initially what they did was they put up in their guide, in their listing, all the not all probably, but a huge number of restaurants from all around Delhi NCR region. They started with that and then they expanded across the country. And now they are present in other countries as well. Which other countries where they are present?
Portugal, China.
So what were the factors that initially led to that? Because they started in 2008 and by 2010 they became one of the topmost websites, and they realized that they were a success, and that's when they decided to change their name as well. They changed their name to Zomato from Foodie Bay due to two reasons, right? What were the reasons? eBay, part of it, and what was the other thing?
That it's quite difficult to do.
Can correlate to tomato.
No, the other reason is something very generic. You restrict yourself when you write about food. Foodie or food. That means you're limiting yourself only to the sector, this particular sector. They wanted to have that option of expanding laterally. They wanted to be, if they wanted to move out of just being foodie, considered a food, listing a site of food, restaurants, they could probably go for lifestyle, nightlife, things like that. They wanted to keep it broad. So the name itself should not be that restrictive or narrow. And the other thing was that when they actually toyed with the idea of various names, they found that this was something that sounded very global, and everybody could relate to it very well. Of course, idea came from the word tomato. Tomato with a Z, Z for Zane. So Zomato, and it sounded good. Sounded nice, sounded very global and trendy. So that brought about a change in their fortunes as well. But what were the factors that initially triggered that success in the Indian context? Why do you think people really could take advantage of it? Any idea what were the factors, or what was one of those factors that really led to its success initially?
Ma'am, no competitors.
Okay.
And a friendly working environment.
Of course, those are other factors, but I'm talking about the environmental factor. In fact, what I'm driving at is that at that point of time, in 2008,
ma'am, employee contribute the most. This was the also the reason.
You're right about that part, but I'm really trying to draw your focus to that environmental factor that was present at that point of time. The growth of mobile telephony and internet in India. At that point, there was a sudden spurt, and a lot of people were adopting these forms of communication. Mobiles, smartphone owners increased. The number of smartphone owners increased. As a result, they could come up and experiment with this platform of mobile apps. Apart from that, the internet penetration, the usage also increased. And what was the main? Of course, they present across two main major media. They present in print as well, but the two mediums that they are concentrating their focus on is internet, the web, and mobile. Right? Who were the target audience? Just
and those who use more of smartphones and uses of internet.
People who are socially standing use and actually make an order by going to people who are using Android and who are putting.
Okay, so basically it was the internet and tech-savvy kind of people. So it may not just be typically the youth. It might be middle-aged people as well who are looking for options for going out, and people from the corporate as well. There were a lot of consumers from the corporate sector as well who found value in it. So what was the real offering here that was different? What was it? That was
variety of menus.
okay. So
Basically, they are providing a platform where the individual can search for out for a place, search out for a place where he can have food with his family or with a girlfriend. Everything
Okay,
about events and one more. They counsel also.
okay.
They counsel.
You're talking about what they do, but what was my question?
Sitting at home or maybe in the office, they can explore a number of restaurants nearby. That is one advantage as well.
you can plan to give
An online platform where you can explore.
Providing the software with the information in all the mobile software like iOS, Bada and BlackBerry. Because there are some phones on people's like their Windows phone and their Apple phone.
You need to be
Some of the
competitive.
applications not Apple to open.
But I could compare also, they would go through various menus.
Easily available on the
So what are the advantages when you go to the Zomato site? How many of you are users of the Zomato app? You go to the website also sometimes? Okay. So what do you find there? You find menus, fine, great, you find menus, that's the cause of feedback. You find feedback, reviews. My reviews.
only by those people who are registered on that site.
Okay, fine. So that's one of the things that you would find.
Nearby.
You find photographs,
Yes, ma'am.
locations, contacts, etc.
Employee feedback.
Yeah, of course, feedback, whether it's customer or...
entry, all this.
Sure. So, do
But
you
there are
find...
factors like highly,
Basically, they have categorized themselves on the basis of what kind of food the restaurant is providing. Continental, Indian, Punjabi,
Yeah, so based on those categories, right on your homepage you have those categories and you can just click on that option or type it and there are two ways you can go for it. Either you have something in your mind, like you have a particular dish or particular cuisine, like you think that okay, today I want to go for continental or I want to go for Chinese, and then you look for that option by clicking on the appropriate position. The other way is that you don't have anything in mind particularly, but you just want to go for a good outing. So you explore the options there. So in both cases, whether you have a definite cuisine or dish in mind, or you don't have anything, they act as a guide to you as well. So it's not just a place where you have a listing of restaurants. It's not just an online restaurant listing, but it is a place where you find guidance and you get some suggestions. You can read reviews, you can see the different ideas, etc. about where you can go out and where you can dine out. So this becomes a little more comprehensive, right? What do you think is the business model there? They have a listing out there of different restaurants, the different types of cuisines, photos, etc. They put everything up there. But how do they generate revenues?
So basically, you are sell space to the restaurant for advertisement on their website as well as their per-click system. Whenever a particular individual is clicking on their site through a different IP address, the website trace that and and through that they generate revenue. Through apps. If we download their app, that also adds some value to the revenue.
Do you also find out there some information related to events?
I mean now they are not into it. Now they are not into it.
But they were there probably last update was in 2012, I think. Initially, of course, they also had that, when they had those updates on different kinds of events. So the revenues from those tickets, etc., would also come in. Sale of tickets, etc. Now, since we started with this question, and one of you, I think, you mentioned that you could not really answer the question space selling. What is space selling? Typically, you go to any textbook or probably just browse the net, you will not find the term space selling as such concept. Because it's developed out of the concepts of advertising, but it's been used in general parlance, just in a matter of fact manner. However, the idea comes from advertising, the concepts of advertising. We know that generally what happens, We have an advertiser, that is the company that's giving the advertisements, the company or client company. We have the ad agency, and we can have the media, right? The ad agency generally used to serve as a link between the advertiser and the media. So the ad agency would have clients for which they would create the advertisements, and then they would, buy space from the media and place these advertisements on the various mediums that they have selected. So as a part of the services that they had rendered, they would get a commission from a 15% commission initially, that was the standard, that they would get from the media. Because they were actually, that means that the media doesn't have to go out and sell space themselves. The ad agencies are giving them the clients, right? So for that service they will get a commission from the media, and the advertisers would cover up the costs involved in creating the advertisements, etc. So that was the typical arrangement of advertising ever since the concept originated.
The advertisers here
is
the matter.
No, I come to that later. I'm just talking about advertising concept initially. So we'll move from there. Zomato is something that we'll talk about later. What I'm trying to say, just remember typically when advertising started, when we started talking about the concepts of advertising, developed in the US particularly, at that time, when the first ad agencies came up, the advertising agencies had some roles. The role of the advertising agency was to serve as a link between the advertiser and the media. The media means at that time mostly print. At that time it was pamphlets, newspapers, and later on probably magazines. Then we had different other media coming in. We had radio and television, and of course new media started getting added later on. But initially when advertising really developed in the US, and at that time print was the only medium. So what somebody had a bright idea that why don't I just buy a bulk of space from the newspaper. I buy space from the newspaper and I can sell this space to different advertisers. And so initially what they did was they just sold those space to different advertisers. The ad agency or the person who acted as an agent, he would go from buy in bulk, so it would be cheaper for him and get, he would just sell it. Then somebody got another bright idea. They thought, okay, why just sell space? Let me also do some other, add some more services to my profile. Why don't I help the advertiser to create the ads as well? So they started creating the ads, and because they were now creating the ads, they were getting, better response from a lot of people, and they got lots of clients, and gradually a lot of services started getting added to the advertisers' portfolio. A full service ad agency. You've heard about different ad agencies, right? Ogilvy and Mather, Mudra, and so many other agencies that you find. Now they would have different services that they do for the advertiser. Typically, one of the services that they have is buying and selling media space, which means they're not just creating the ads, but in every advertising agency also has a media department within them who handles the media buying, the media planning. So they will decide that, okay, which medium is it in which I'm going to really place my ads. Suppose we feel that, okay, fine, this particular advertiser has come up with this problem, and because of that they are now trying to put some advertisements. We've created the advertisements for them, and it would be very nice if we could place these advertisements into some prime time slots in some channels like Star Plus. Okay, now what does that mean? You would have to first decide who is the target audience. What is the product being marketed? What is the product or service being marketed to whom? If it's targeted towards housewives, and housewives would probably like to view some serials, you would really want to place those ads between those very popular serials. So you would want to buy space from prime time slots in channels such as, I don't know, Sony, Z, Star Plus, and so on. And you would look for, say, 30-second spots, 60-second spots of commercials. And that too, maybe you would want, say, let's put 2 insertions, 3 insertions. Like, let's have, you know, 2 such, the frequency. How many times it will be repeated? That will be repeated in one day, or in a week, or in a month. So you do the entire media planning for it. You decide that, okay, in a particular time slot, how many times that particular ad should be done, and how many, you know, times it should be repeated during that month. So for that, how much of media space do you need to buy? That means you need to approach that channel and tell them that, okay, we want to, my advertiser is Bata, and I want to purchase this much of slot for that particular media space from your channel. So I approach Star Plus and tell them that please, give me, I want to buy this much from you. Then you negotiate rates and other things and whatever, and you actually buy from there. Fine? Initially, when I was talking about the earlier times, when advertising just originated, the advertising agencies would not take any other remuneration except for that 15% commission. Initially it was 25, then it came down to 15% commission that they would get from the media. Okay, so that was a standard rate across the entire country, and it was fixed. Not just the country, it was standard across the industry. And then things have changed now. It's not just sometimes you get paid by retailer fees and so on, but that's something different. What I'm trying to say, whether it is a newspaper, ad that you want to place, or an ad in a television, like at a television channel, like we just talked about Star Sports, maybe a particular spot during IPL in Star Sports, or you want to go for a particular 10-second spot in a radio, like FM radio channel, whichever channel you want, 92.7, 98.3, whatever. That has to be bought from the media. So basically you're buying space. Whether that space means a 15 by 10 centimeter space in a newspaper, it means a 10-second radio spot on 98.3 FM channel, whether it means a 60-second spot on ZTV, whatever the space may be. Where if you want to put up a billboard, you have to buy that space. If you want to put up a hoarding somewhere, you have to buy the space. So space has to be bought. It's all about space. And when the internet came up, of course, that was another medium where you had to buy space from. So basically the concept came up that if you have to put advertisements and you want that your target audience should see those advertisements, you want to place your ads in such a space where your target audience will frequently visit, or where they have the highest chances of being exposed to. So if you really feel that your target audience drives through a particular, road, then you would like to put up a hoarding out there so that they get the maximum of exposure. They get to see it, right? If you know that your target audience will visit this particular website very frequently, you would like to put your ad on that website. If you know that your target audience is very frequently watching this kind of channels or serials on these channels, that's where you would like to put your ads in. So that's the basic, simple premise. We would like to put, advertisers would like to put our advertisements on those spaces which will have the highest connection with their audience, where will have the highest visibility or connection with their audience, right? So why do you think restaurant owners would like to put their ads on Zomato? Restaurant owners are the advertisers or the clients in this case. They have to advertise their restaurants. They want to buy space. And where are they buying space from? A media. So In this case, the Zomato site is a medium for them. And this medium is a medium where they feel the target audience will really be frequent visitors. And because they feel that his target audience or the people in the target market will visit here frequently, they will use this website very often. Therefore, it makes sense for me as a restaurant owner to put up my ad on this site or to increase the visibility of my restaurant on that site. So it is a platform that increases the online visibility of your restaurant. Zomato is one such platform. So what are they giving to their clients? They're giving a platform. So that's one of the things. Of course, they're giving certain other services as well. But first of all, they're selling space. The main revenue generator, as far as the business model of Zomato is concerned, the main revenues will be coming from advertising. And whether that advertising from space selling, that means you're selling space and therefore you get revenues for that. So the advertisers are contributing to the revenues by putting their advertisements in your site. And so that could be one way of generating revenues. If you have events like you used to have, they used to put up those events earlier, if there were some ticket sales and those revenues also contribute for that. Advertisements related to these events would also have contributed to the revenues. So this generally is the model. More than probably 80-85% of the revenues would be generated through advertisements. That is through the space that we are selling. Okay? So basically this is the model that it works on. Now what is the benefit? That's what we are looking for, right? What else are the restaurant owners getting apart from the fact that they can increase the visibility of their brand or their restaurant by advertising on Zomato? What else are they getting? What other services are they giving?
Ma'am, they create for logo for them, also for them.
Okay.
And menu they create. So this can be.
Like a newspaper they are giving just I don't know little very some few products, but on a site they are kind of time creating their own site on Zomato by giving all the products all information. So one type of kind they are cutting their own site on a Zomato by providing.
Ma'am, most of the restaurant owners and hotels owners are not literate. So they are adding a value to them by creating their logos. So so they can make a appealing sort of logo, and they can paste on their website.
Okay, if you really look at it, one of the things that you said I got from you is there will be small restaurant owners, small takeaway joints, and small roadside restaurants as well. And some of these would never think or dream of having a website of their own. The bigger restaurants or restaurant chains would probably have their own websites as well. So they might not only want to go for your service. However, the smaller ones who never really can afford even, or maybe they would not be that interested, or they might not have that much of knowledge, and they're not that savvy enough to be able to do that. So this becomes a service that's provided by Zomato in itself. However, Zomato is also into counseling or giving advice to restaurant owners on how to, they sometimes give the digital content and they're doing creative work as well on what kind of content, etc.
Zomato also go for designing part on behalf of the restaurant.
Absolutely. They have their graphic design team, right? And they, with the help of their graphic design team, they provide the services to these restaurant owners. They give advice regarding marketing campaigns. They give counseling and advice related to marketing campaigns, as well as the content, the graphic design content as well.
Basically, Zomato takes all the things what the restaurant is having right now, and they design
the entire thing according to their requirements, as well as what they feel is the most
how they can increase their market as well.
I'm pasting an ad in Zomato. It's a kind of individual website of that restaurant.
Absolutely, because that's how they've made it a kind of differentiating factor. They have kind of customized it for your convenience. So that becomes a big help. Now, what is there for Zomato? I mean, restaurant owners are getting some benefits, like they're getting to increase visibility, online visibility. They are also getting, counseling, advice, etc., etc.
And rating also.
Yeah, sure. There's so many other, advantages. But what is it that Zomato gets out of it?
Sorry, ma'am?
What does Zomato get?
They charge for that.
Ma'am, on the contract basis they charge.
So they get revenue, but yes, what else?
Publicity.
And basically they are getting through this they are also getting their
growth they
users.
are getting.
The user base is also going to increase by this.
Absolutely.
Which
And
increase in their revenue by the form of clicking per play system.
Some restaurants are also marketing Zomato because of this initiative.
naturally, so they're growing, they're evolving into a bigger brand, and they have not, they're yes.
Whenever they meet their customer, they place a sticker of Zomato at their door. Whenever customer visit there, they see that they are able to connect to Zomato also.
Absolutely. Now what happens is that all that has not just helped in building the brand, they have a social media presence as well. So they have a presence on social media as well, you are aware, Facebook, Twitter, etc. But they don't advertise their clients. One of the underlying principles that they follow out there is stick to certain principles. They don't advertise their clients on social media. What they are doing is basically, in the social media they give updates or posts related to food and nightlife and etc. Something which are related, updates that they related to news, fun, entertainment, food, etc. But not advertising their clients. And it's a forum again where discussion happens about food, about different types of cuisine, different, good ideas.
Facebook page, they are also getting some comments or reviews by their customers that what exactly they want or what kind of plus or minus they want.
They're not selling or something.
At that point, they're not really advertising or selling their clients there. But it's a discussion forum.
And they do not post on Facebook and Twitter.
They don't. They
just
respond.
they just
They just advertise their logo.
And so, they're getting reviews to their site, through their feeds, and they're getting a lot of comments and feedback from their customers. And they can in turn transfer these feedback if they want to their clients as well. They have a huge database. Do you realize what that means? They have a huge database of customers and their comments, their requirements, their
65.2 million.
yeah, and if you really, if you can utilize that content in a creative manner, if they can pass on this information to their clients, to the restaurants, and their clients can use this information to make very targeted marketing communications. Do you realize what a big opportunity this is? Because you don't always have access to data or database related to your customers at your fingertips. This is a forum where you're getting all that. So this is a huge opportunity for the customers, the clients, as well as for Zomato. And they've increased their presence across the globe now. They're trying to consolidate their presence now. They have probably expanded to 3-4 countries only now. They want to expand further. They want to be a solution.
I mean, 2012 they are starting to do overseas government. First year is Dubai. After 2014 they are starting 13 countries.
See, one of the things that we also need to know is which are the various competitors that you might want to
One-time just
It's a direct competition.
But then, across the world, you have to keep track.
Yelp.
You have to keep track. Yelp, of course,
It's the biggest
competitor. But what is
And
this?
Minu Money is another New Zealand.
They have acquired that.
Okay. Now, what I'm trying to say is, see, Yelp is a very big player. Okay, and of course that
And
would
UK.
be. Huh?
In UK, ma'am, Yelp is
They're actually competing in UK, but it's basically US based. So basically, they, probably at this point, Zomato would not even think of competing with Yelp at that level in the US because there's huge presence out there. But apart from Yelp, in the UK we have other players as well. What was that? Just Eat. Just Eat.
Food Panda.
Yeah, there's another name that I just forget. Yeah.
Then open air.
I forget. Anyway, in UAE, they have their presence. They also have other players. One is, I think, Zagat or Zagat. I don't know how they pronounce it. Z-A-G-A-T. And
Open table.
yeah, there's some other competitors as well. So each place that you have, of course, out here also have heard about Bird. That's of course probably one of the closest competitors. That's basically.
But right now, Foodpanda is giving the permission.
It is, but then you have to, take the role of Bird as well. Because it's also very similar, and it is also, in fact, there was a recent kind of a controversy. I don't know if you have get back. There was a news site some time back, maybe this year itself, where there was an accusation from Zomato that Bird had actually gifted some material, or it was an accusation of theft of some content from their site. Yeah, but which they of course denied, and they had to kind of resolve, they had reached a compromise and resolved the issue, because this battle or this war actually escalated across the social media, but they later on decided to have a kind of compromise by not really speaking to the media about it. But whatever it was, Bird is one of their competitors that they are really going to be wary of. Now, what I want you to also keep in mind is that if there are competitors, let's think about all the competitors, whether it's Yelp out there or Bird for Freeware, not Freeware, I mean
Just
yeah, out here. What is it that differentiates Zomato? What would be the differentiating factor? How do you think they're different? How would they be able to survive competition, or probably even make sure that they stay way above competition?
The strategy they follow.
Yeah, big strategy.
The financial growth and marketing and globalization strategy.
Basically, they are Zomato has categorized himself into one sector, that is food. And other competitors like there's Zomato is Go. Just Dial is also competitor for Zomato.
Yeah, but then that's
they are kind of generic.
General. They're general. There are other general indirect competitors, because Just Dial not be directly a competitor, because that's more of Snappy, etc. I mean, all these would be different, but they are present across other verticals as well.
They have targeted more of those countries where they have no competitors.
They are more care about
their customers. No, but the point is, when we say that, what is the competition? What is the strategy as of now? What is the differentiator? Then you notice that one thing, of course, is what Ajit said, is that they're very focused on their key
specialization.
Yeah, key area, the key focus area. That means they're sticking only to food and restaurants. They're not really diversifying. Even the work, I think, also extended into lifestyle items or certain other kind of categories. There are other players who would have, probably ventured beyond food and restaurants, but they have tried to stick to that. One other factor is that they have, they always make it a point to have very updated menus. That's one of the differentiating factors. I think every 80-90 days they update it, and that's a quick update.
They make it user friendly, more of user.
They have a very user friendly interface, which is of course one of the advantages of that site, part to be very attractive and very easy to use. Since this is a very difficult task, updating menus, keeping updated information, particularly because they have a large network of restaurants that they are covering. Do you have an idea about the number of restaurants that they are now covering at this present moment in the country?
And 2013 data was 94,000.
Yeah, so it must be well past that now. How many visitors do they have on their site?
65 billion.
And visitors on their site.
Visitors are 62.5 million.
So I just want you to check, because we keep reading these newspaper articles every now and then, and the figures keep changing, because I've read myself gone through one or two articles. I have a very sample interview that I have for you. I wanted you to read more of these kind of articles. This because is an interview of Deepinder, which was in 2010. You can pass it around. Here. Pass it here. So this is a sample. But the figures keep changing. That's why I want you to realize that you need to keep very updated information with you before you go to the interview. Every point, how many visitors, how many clicks, if you really want to get that kind of information as well. How many restaurants are registered across the country. Now, if you're talking about outside the country, within the country and outside the country, what are the figures? So be updated about the facts and figures. That's one thing that you would like to do. Make sure you're very confident about answering questions related to competition as well. About the competitors. Like I mentioned, these are some of the competitors that we've all discussed. So whether it's in the US or in the UK or in the UAE where they're present, or in Sri Lanka or Singapore, that they were not Singapore.
Sri Lanka, UAE.
UAE, of course, I mentioned.
Portugal, Spain, Chile.
Okay, so you need to have a very clear data about exactly the local as well as the global competitors that they have. So please be sure that you have these figures. They might want you to be updated on that. Did you just take a look at that interview? You can do it. Read it later. Now this is a little, I think of 2010 or 12. I think this is an interview of 2012. You'll find that in the net there are several such articles. You might want to read. There is a strategy, turnaround strategy, an article on the turnaround strategy of Zomato, their business plan and model that I found on the net. So you can also go through that. I advise you strongly to go through updated, facts, figures, as well as read as many articles that you can read about them. Any interviews, because that gives you an idea about their vision. Whenever they're talking, this is about what Boyle was saying. Then there is an interview of Chadda as well, and that you can find, Pankaj Chadda, that you can find. So there you understand about the initial goal, whatever they have initial plan, and the future plans as well. So it's a very good idea to go through all these things. What else?
But we will answer that question. Why we was like
that will have different criteria. There are different.
what should be not
should be not selective. I mean,
that is a positive point for us, but I think that is a negative point for me.
See, my suggestion would be don't get taken up too much by trick questions. Trick questions will come once or twice only. Be prepared to have the matter very much. The content should be rich. Your content and matter that you know also, their core values, principles, their competition, their business model. You should be very confident about all that. You should be very confident about your own marketing concepts. Now, if somebody asks you a question and why we should select you, you should come up with a positive things in it. And I think it would be different for different individuals. So you have to, think about your own inner strengths. There are certain things. I think if you really talk about last year's situation, when your country's seniors got picked up, Anish, we got selected. There were others as well who kept the interview. But I think what he would have done differently is that he managed to convince them in some way that he has that ability to be more creative, more innovative, and he has more presence in the sense at that specific moment when you're giving the interview. If your thought process is very much aligned to what they are looking for, and at that you have that bright, smart attitude where you can answer questions with ease, with confidence, with calm, confidence, and maybe you have a presence of mind which they're looking for. They might ask you any question, but they want looking for that presence of mind. How do you answer it without getting alarmed, without feeling that you are lost? So sometimes a witty answer might get you the job, but sometimes some very earnest, very sincere way of speaking may convince them that you are a person who has the right kind of attitude, the right ethics to be in that job. But one thing that you should always be careful about is never get your concepts wrong. That might always act against you. So whether it's your marketing concept or the facts and figures or information that you have about Zomato and similar such business models, not just Zomato but similar such models, you should get all these things right. And then there may be one of the questions that you feel are really beyond you. Forget it. It's okay. If you can't really answer it, then that's fine. One of the questions won't matter so much. It's your overall attitude, your ability to really handle situations very smartly that you're looking for. And remember, this is a very, if you've read about the work culture of Zomato, if you read about the work culture,
5 days a week, party out Saturday, Sunday. It's more of kind of like a diesel.
Also, we are hiring there's a page, we are hiring page, and they tell you that they're just not looking for a place. You should not think that you're going to sit in a cubicle and typical situation like a normal job, but you look forward to having unlimited amount of food, coffee, internet access, and very frequent parties at work. You need to be innovative, of course, but one thing that you must remember, this job is also going to be taxing. When we're saying that they keep their menus updated, it means that there are actually people who go out there and visit those restaurants day in and day out and check on their menus. They physically go. So if you are selected as a sales person or whatever profile,
in contact with their clients.
Absolutely. So your first line of duty would be to get in touch with your clients, the restaurant owners, and many of them would be, one of the biggest challenges in this job would be that many of these restaurant owners would not be very comfortable with the idea of internet kind of presence. They will not feel that happy about having online presence. If they're not, there might be very small places, eateries, and the owners are not even very literate sometimes, and they're not even very internet savvy, so they will not understand that how does it make a difference if we have an online presence? How does it make a difference if we have a advertisement out there? So you have to sit with them maybe for hours with their, at their convenient time, and you have to spend that amount of time and effort in trying to convince them. There your skills will come handy. How good are you at persuading and convincing people about the benefits of your portal and the platform that you're going to give them? That is a very strenuous, very hectic kind of a simple job. And therefore, that is one of the challenges. That is probably one of the biggest challenges they actually find. Because you need people who are persistent, people who are persevering, people who are very calm, and therefore, I read somewhere actually that they find one challenge that they have is that finding the right people in all the places that they are operating is a huge challenge, because people who are willing to take that extra effort to go out, spend time, and sometimes you have to really walk along the way and keep looking for good places here and there. You have to track good eating places. You have to really, get information out of that. You have to convert them into clients. You have to spend that. So your convincing skill. That's why probably you are going to be, of course, salesmen of excellence. It is face selling, but the idea is to sell. Therefore, you have to be very convincing. So when they are interviewing you, they will also try to find out whether you have the ability in you to be able to convince restaurant owners. Do you have the ability to really create content and give advice to restaurant owners. They might also be looking for that. Maybe in that profile, they might also want some, want to know whether you have the ability to really advise or counsel people on marketing campaigns that will be generated for clients. So get your concepts right. Be sure that they will, at least try to bring you on your ability to persuade restaurant owners. That at least they try to see. If you have to, wait in, maybe you will go 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, and you have to be really persistent when you're meeting those guys out there on the streets who are probably small roadside restaurants, and you want to bring them into your fold. How will you convince them? How will you? It's not always going to be an air-conditioned office that you sit in, but it's going to be that rough life out there. Are you ready for that? That's what they will do. They have their ways of finding out. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or 20 minutes of conversation is all they need to find out whether you have it in you or not. Maybe you have it better than anybody else, but you have to, make that out at that point. Right? I think we are maybe done. I hope. Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for your help. I hope this was an opportunity.